¿Qué es esto, padre?
استمتع عظيم ايه كان استمتع لا انت عامله كده.
Wow, yeah. Who said New Yorkers aren't hard workers? And if there's a will, there's a way. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. My name is Zukradowski here of wearechange.org. And there's a lot of absolutely jacked, hyperbolic, insane news to get into today. As, of course, we had a coup d'etat. No, wait. Nope, that didn't happen, but a confusing situation did, which we're going to be doing our best to try to explain to you in this particular broadcast by giving you both sides of the story. If you like the shirt that I'm wearing right now, you could get it on thebestpoliticalshirts.com. And the clip that we played in the beginning of this video is from the wonderful, beautiful New York City, which is a draconian, technocratic police state hellscape that, of course, excuses petty crime while punishing you to the fullest extent of the law for horrible wrong think. That video released on TikTok by @Mahmoud_KJ, and we thank them for sharing a daily dose of living in one of the most taxed jurisdictions on the face of the earth. All of this as open-air drug markets and slums are becoming the latest rage and are being exported from the United States internationally to places like Sao Paulo, one of the biggest cities in Brazil that has created their own version of the wonderful ambiance of San Francisco with what they call their own Sao Paulo's crackland, where once a vibrant area of Brazil's largest city has absolutely descended into a ghetto slum. Something, of course, that we see all too common almost everywhere now, especially in major cities that have a lot of Democratic politicians in them that are implementing a lot of these policies that are resulting in all of this. As, of course, the current political Democratic establishment is facing a major challenge from a jacked 70-year-old dude, Robert Kennedy Jr., a man that has seen his loved ones, his father and his uncle, taken out essentially by who he calls the deep state. All of this as there's a new video of Robert Kennedy Jr. making the rounds on the internet that a lot of people are talking about, which some people, even Mike Cernovich, believed to be inauthentic, saying specifically, if this video is authentic, then he definitely has my support, saying, quote, "No one lifting shirtless in sun with jeans turned up on TRT would ever betray this great country." And then automatically we got comparisons with the, quote, "scientific experts and junk food aholics comparatively to, of course, RFK, asking the American people, who would you like to take medical advice from?" All of this as Dr. Peter Hotez has been complaining to the point where Ryan Long has even come out and said that he is acting like a chick as he keeps whining and complaining on the internet about one of the most successful, biggest podcasters on the face of the earth offering his platform and millions of dollars in charity that could help so many people if he's just able to come on the show and say whatever he wants to say. That right there to Mr. Peter Hotez is harassment, which is absolutely crazy, absolutely berserk, and something that should leave a lot of people bewildered and asking actual questions of what's really going on here, as of course the science should be questioned, it should be experimented on, it should be challenged and tested in every single way, because if we didn't, we would still be using asbestos and DDT, but because people questioned the science, we're still not using lead gas. Again, lots of crazy things have happened in this world and have continued to go on because of the lack of questions and debate. I think we need a lot more of that. And with these latest images and videos coming out of Robert Kennedy Jr., even though I disagree with some of his policies, I absolutely see this as a net positive and plus, as it's important to celebrate health and to try to inspire others to also be healthy as well, especially in our modern day society where there are a lot of unhappy people. And whether it's fertility, whether it's happiness, whether it's depression, whether it's overall physical health and fitness and obesity, all of those markers have trended in a negative way for the American people, including in the most alarming way fertility rates that are also dropping down dramatically all over the world, as of course microplastics are being found in people's lungs, mimicking estrogen, as essentially large swaths of the food industry have been corrupted and are using inflammatory, cancer-causing chemicals that people ingest every single day. This, as some people just mysteriously pass away and are no longer with us. All of this as, of course, Robert Kennedy Jr. just gave a speech here to PorkFest, where I am at right now in a very disheveled, dirty, run-down motel room here on location, enjoying all the incredible libertarians, minarchists, anarchists, hippies, homeschoolers, and freedom advocates that are just absolutely incredible people. There was a big tug of war within the community because Robert Kennedy Jr. demanded extra security for his speech here, while the people here demanded more freedom. This, as Robert Kennedy Jr. actually came and gave this speech after tremendous pressure by the local Democratic political party here that, of course, told him not to. Other people who attended PorkFest was also Larry Elders, who's running to be president of the United States, and, of course, Vivek Ramaswamy, that promised to, of course, even go as far as to pardon Ross Ulbricht, which is a major issue of concern for the local PorkFest people here. Vivek stood around, debated a lot of people, engaged in some really crucial, important conversations, and this is one reason why today I'm wearing my Make America New Hampshire shirt, because what the Free State Project is doing here in New Hampshire is pretty incredible and pretty cool. And that's why I made this shirt, to support this idea, a shirt that you could get exclusively on thebestpoliticalshirts.com, as of course we have a lot of different shirts representing a lot of different ideas that are absolutely inspired by a lot of the community here. There's a lot of meme makers here. There's a lot of incredible individuals here. I got to meet Declaration of Memes here as well, who's also at PorkFest. We might be doing some collaborations together, specifically when it comes to producing shirts and ideas to get out to the general public. So lots of really incredible things. So I apologize for, the studio and set looking a little ratchet here today. Look, there's the trash right there. As, of course, the cleaning lady's knocking on my door, interrupting this broadcast. As, of course, I have a committed schedule that I'm keeping to, since, of course, you guys keep me up and running by buying t-shirts, spreading these ideas, starting important conversations, and, of course, supporting this independent media organization. You could do all of that, including even potentially piss off the local Kayo and Karen, just by getting a shirt on thebestpoliticalshirts.com. We have a lot of them that a lot of people here appreciate, wear. I've seen a lot of PorkFesters wear the shirts that we have available to you, and it's just really awesome to see and inspiring. It's freaking incredible to see autistic political ideas that I had, that I expressed on shirts, that designers were able to make, that I see in the real world here as people are just walking by with those ideas, and I'm just eternally grateful for all of that, and can't thank you guys enough for getting the shirts and then wearing them and doing your part of lazy activism there. As, of course, we have to move on now and talk about the major discussion, and that, of course, was the alleged coup d'etat that just happened in Russia a couple hours ago, that some people are explaining in this kind of visual representation of two dogs barking at each other but not really doing anything. As, of course, we have Western media reports that Putin has now suffered the worst Air Force losses of this entire war, as Wagner troops took down the Russian helicopters and fighter pilots, KIAing 39 of them. Claims that, of course, are being contested by other individuals that are asking for evidence of this claim here, as, of course, it looked like we were on the precipice of a full all-out civil war in Russia as of just a couple hours ago. Now, personally, I'm still waiting to see actual evidence of this claim being made by Western media right now. as of course it's important to question everything that the corporate media has been talking about since they have escalated this situation and led us to this very dangerous situation that we are all involved in that is absolutely reckless and destructive towards peace in this world. As of course, independent media coverage of this entire matter absolutely did way better of a job than, of course, the majority of the corporate media that was salivating for the ousting of Vladimir Putin without even thinking about the long-term consequences of potentially an even bigger bad guy coming in and taking his place, or even the larger concepts and problems and ideas of a potential power vacuum that we saw in Iraq after the United States overthrew Saddam. That would have essentially happened in Russia if there was a civil war here. That, of course, would have created an extremely dangerous situation, not only for Europe, but for the rest of the world. As, of course, sectarian violence with thousands of nuclear weapons and territories and groups and ethnic identities is something that far few people put into their calculations of Putin bad. And again, this is a very complex situation, as of course people are still trying to make sense of exactly what just happened a couple hours ago, as there's many conflicting reports of what actually went down, what actually transpired. Was this 4D chess by Vladimir Putin, or was this an actual insurrection by a Russian mercenary group that, of course, gets paid to be in wars and conflict? This, as we heard reports of Vladimir Putin yesterday leaving Moscow with machine gun positions being placed all over town as Wagner forces were seen advancing towards the capital of Russia, as there were some limited airstrikes by Russian Air Force that I did actually see. This as there was significant movement of many military VIP vehicles from Moscow to St. Petersburg, which made people believe Putin was moving away from Moscow, something that, of course, Putin's press secretary denied. Now, there were some limited military clashes yesterday, but nothing as significant as a full all-out conflict or civil war. And then the progression of Wagner mercenaries stopped after we are hearing reports of negotiations that happened between Wagner chief Yevgeny Prigozhin and Vladimir Putin with the help of the Belarusian government, where now the Wagner troops and mercenaries are stationed. Now, the Wagner troops have been categorized as extraordinary fighters, especially in the theater of war of Ukraine, as today we're hearing that there's maybe 15 casualties from this entire very confusing situation. As a part of the negotiations between Wagner and the Russian government, all Wagner fighters will now return to their bases and now officially sign contracts with the Russian military, as Prigozhin and a lot of his top brass will be transferred to Belarus in military bases that, of course, are very close to the capital of Ukraine, Kiev. This, as a lot of people are seeing this entire situation as, quote, clear weaknesses in the political prowess of Vladimir Putin. This, as the Biden administration is saying that this entire situation is, quote, showing the cracks in Putin's Russia, while others are saying that there might potentially be something bigger at play here, including an even entire orchestration of this alleged coup d'etat, which was a part of some kind of 4G larger strategy here that's all being unfolded here. And according to one CIA ex-analyst, this was all a classic false flag that will boost recruitment for the Russian military and, quote, make the West think it's weakened when it's not. This has a lot of people are questioning, why did Russia respond so weak in this entire situation, as an ex-British ambassador is, quote, struggling to make sense of how Prigozhin was able to march on Moscow without getting obliterated. All of this as some people online believe that this was a larger orchestrated plot here that, of course, had Wagner mercenaries take the alleged $6.2 billion from the U.S. government that recently went missing from the Ukrainian funds and duping the intelligence agencies that were allegedly involved here in pushing this larger escalation, which allegedly Wagner played along with in order to gain billions of dollars from the U.S. government and then remove towards a strategic location where they now will, quote, attack Kiev from here. And again, This is all just speculation, and I haven't seen any of this actually corroborated with any evidence. Right now, all we have is hearsay. All we have is speculation to what really was going on here. But I think the more kind of rational understanding of this is that you're dealing with a mercenary group here. A mercenary group that has a price that gets paid for by governments to go to war. Now, if someone, as we've learned through, of course, watching Game of Thrones, has more money than someone else, they could entice them and buy more armies. So did the missing $6.2 billion in aid from the Pentagon have anything to do with this recently? Well, I think that's a fair speculation. How it was used, whether this was a deliberate double cross of Prigozhin, whether Prigozhin was actually afraid of his life and really wanted to overthrow Putin, is a question that, of course, a lot of people are left with after watching all of these events. And as of right now, we have no conclusive understanding of this entire matter, and that's why we are just openly speculating here about the larger possibilities. But I wanted to leave the question to you. What do you think happened here? Was Prigozhin double-crossing the CIA a part of a 4D plan by Putin? Or was this the CIA going into Prigozhin's ear saying that Putin was going to kill him? Here's some money, march on Moscow, we'll support you, and overthrow Putin, and you could live and survive. Which one of those two understandings of this entire matters do you think is more likely here? Personally, I'm kind of leaning towards seeing this as the last one that I just mentioned, but of course, I could be absolutely wrong here. But no matter what the actual reason for what happened here, I think it's fair to say that this is an extremely turbulent, dangerous situation for the world here, as of course a lot of nuclear weapons are involved here. This as we're also finding out that U.S. spies learned about this march on Moscow by Prigozhin, which he was allegedly planning since mid-June. Yes, you heard that correctly. According to the Washington Post, the United States government knew that this was going to happen many days in advance, as spy agencies were briefing the current president of the United States if he was still cognizant, if he was still paying attention, if he wasn't daydreaming, that there was an alleged mutiny days ahead. This, as now Prigozhin is going to probably live in exile. Now, if he does live in exile, this kind of proves that the other version of this story is going to be true, but no matter what happens here, I think it's fair to say that Netflix is definitely going to have the most accurate depiction here, as I'm waiting for the documentary to drop about these latest events in cinema verite style, just as the Netflix wonderfully does so many times. So I guess we'll just have to wait until that video comes out, but I think it's fair to say that this is an extremely unstable, crazy situation that's going to get a lot crazier from here. And with that, the stakes of the entire world are at play here. So absolutely crazy. We should be de-escalating this situation. And as many presidential candidates have already mentioned, the United States is deliberately prolonging this conflict, which prolongs the possibility of the end of this entire world, which is absolutely freaking ridiculous. I'm always a staunch anti-war human being, and I think we need a lot more of that kind of sentiment in our modern media day coverage that was literally salivating and celebrating what was happening yesterday, which is extremely reckless and stupid. And if you agree with that, share this video with your friends and family members. Get a shirt on thebestpoliticalshirts.com. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys, and this is why I love you guys in my ratchety, ghetto-ass motel that I'm doing this video for you. I love you guys. Stay tuned for more.